We are back with another episode of The Buzz. I'm your host, Sherwin, and today we are joined with none other than Nia Allen, who has been buzzing, who has been trending, who's basically been popping up in all of our searches. So we had to get her on for us to have this conversation. Nia, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am well. I am well. So, before we really dive into the meat of this, I like to at least kick it off with one or two little softball, as I like to say, but, kind of icebreaker questions. So, you're
Okay.
out in LA, right?
I live here. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm all about food. So from a comfort food perspective, you're having one of those days. What is your go-to?
Oh, comfort food. Oh, I'm a sweets person. So I'll say some ice cream, some good, yeah, ice cream. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, some good ice cream. All right, no
Ice
judgment
cream with
here.
with a lot of caramel on it. And
All right.
yeah. And maybe a piece of cake. Maybe a piece of
Oh, okay. See, now the truth is coming
I
out. That's all
just
right.
added a whole bunch of extra stuff.
See, this is a non-judgment free zone, so that's what I like. That's what I like.
I'm not supposed to
Listen,
be all that stuff, but every now and then I'm like,
it,
oh Lord.
it's all good. It's all good. The Lord forgives, so can you.
Right.
No, we're now kind of, and the next question that we like to start with is, I'm sure a lot of people know who you are, but just kind of tell us a little bit about your origin story. Kind of how did you really get started with gospel music, with inspirational music? Like what kind of led you down that path?
Yeah. Well, I'm from Columbus, Ohio. I grew up in a musical family. I've been singing since I was 5 years old. And so I think that music was always around me, and education was huge in my family. And so my dad, he encouraged me to pursue music education. And so I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts. I was there about 4.5 years. I got my degree in music education. And after school, I didn't know what I was like, what am I going to do? And so I went back home to Ohio. Of course, my mom's like, you can always come back home. I'm like, okay. And
Falls
so,
for you.
right, of course. So I go back home. I'm home for 3 years. My parents are ministers of music in the church, New
Okay.
Salem Baptist Church in Ohio. So I served in my church back home for 3 years. And just after kind of like a time of prayer and consecration, just like, Lord, what's next? I make a faith move to Nashville, Tennessee. I lived there for
Mhm.
9 years. And Nashville was my entry point into the Christian music industry. When I moved to Nashville, I got planted at a church, and there is where, I began to just build relationships, and, studio session work started opening up, and I began opportunities to sing background for different artists. Nicole C. Mullen, she was my first
Yeah.
person that I got a chance to sing with, and eventually CC Winans, and I traveled with her for about 4 years. So Nashville was my introduction
I
into,
know what you're talking.
just building great relationships into the music industry. So yeah.
So basically, what I heard from all that is that you became a student of music, right? So you didn't just do this little music thing. You went ahead, you got a degree in music, and then you studied under some of the best. Because I know you've listed about maybe two or three because you're trying to be humble, and I understand that. But from everything that I've seen and that I know, you have sang with some of the best sang as some of the best in the business. So, and kind of going through all of that, experiencing all of that, how was that transition then from doing background, doing all of that, and then to shifting to the spotlight, if you may?
I think it was for me. I think it was a pretty smooth transition. You learn a lot
Okay.
serving behind
Hmm.
some of the greatest, and so I was taking notes, the entire time. You watch, you learn through observation, you learn through conversation, you learn what to do, what not to do, and so serving was for me a training ground, for what I'm doing right now. And so I'm grateful and humble that I got a chance to serve behind some of the greatest, and who are still great, to this day and
Yeah,
still
yeah.
doing it. And so that for me is just a humbling experience. I learned a lot. And so I was able to take what I learned serving behind other people and utilize it in my own ministry. So I'm grateful for that time.
See, so serving, right? And and that's a common theme that sometimes you hear is like, I was speaking with someone a few weeks back, and it's kind of more or less the same thing. It's like, hey, I served under this person, I did this and that, and then I kind of stepped out. So I think, that's kind of sit here a bit on serving. Like, would you then say that for anyone that is coming up, anyone that wants to, really break in, you would then implore upon them that, hey, find someone that you trust, find someone that knows what they're doing, and kind of just serve for a bit and learn as you're going through the process?
Yeah, well, everyone's journey is different, but I
Yeah.
totally believe in mentorship and just the heart and the principle of serving. You gain so much, and you learn so much, and a lot of the mistakes that they made is like you don't have to make them because you've learned from their, well, not from their mistakes,
Yeah.
but just
Yeah.
mentor
Yeah.
is key. And so I'm a huge proponent of mentorship. So yes, I'm not saying everyone has to, but it's
Hmm.
definitely it's helped me in my journey and so many others' journey. So many other greats, they said just the privilege and honor of serving up under people, up under other people, and just the value of that. And so you can't go wrong giving, you can't go wrong serving. And so, yeah, I would always encourage you to do that. Take that time to learn so you don't have to make certain mistakes that could have been
Yeah. Yeah.
prevented through learning and mentorship. Yeah.
So basically, guys, she's saying don't rush the process. Just
Don't
just
rush.
take your
Don't
time and wait.
rush. Don't
Just
rush.
wait. You see what I'm
Just
doing,
wait.
right? Just wait. Just wait. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna even get into waiters yet. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna set it up. I'm gonna set it up like that.
Just wait on God. Wait on God. Right. I
Oh
love it.
no, you did that, and then you went back to school and you got your doctorate as well too, right? So going to Berkeley just wasn't enough, right? So you went back and you got your doctorate. So you got a degree in what, ministering degree?
Well, yeah, it's doctorate of ministry. And honestly, if I can be honest, I went kicking and screaming. I was not trying to be in school all my life, but I really felt like it was a God thing, and I was like, Lord, I just want, I really just genuinely felt like it was a God thing. And so once I submitted, said yes, I entered a doctorate of ministry program at Azusa Pacific University. And that was
Mhm.
one that brought me out to California. I've been here 6 years now, but school was a part of that. But in my degree, my study was worship and racial reconciliation in the church. And so that is what helped birth the live worship album, Every Nation, rooted in Revelation 7:9. So yeah, school, Azusa Pacific University, doctorate of ministry, emphasis on worship and racial reconciliation.
So have you ever been asked, now, if you're speaking with a friend that is not saved or not really sure what a doctor of ministry means? So, have you gotten one of those, so does that mean if I need healing, I just call you? So like how
And to
now,
be honest, no, that is not what it just means that I took time. I mean, honestly, I don't tell a lot of people unless I only mention it in instances like this, or I use it when it's needed, in academic
yeah,
settings,
yeah.
or I serve as like an adjunct professor in colleges. But, I mean, to be honest, I was very intimidated by the title. If I can be
Yeah,
transparent, I
yeah,
was just like,
yeah.
because there's so much weight when you hear doctor, you're like, people are like, I'm like, Lord, you feel like, and it's just insecurity. It's just kind of like, I don't have to know the answer to everything, but I did take time
Yes.
to get knowledge in this particular area. So that's what receiving a doctorate means, is like you took 2.5 years to gain more knowledge in a particular area. And usually when you do a DMin, like there's an emphasis, a focus. And so I spent 2.5 years focused on, on ministry, on worship and racial reconciliation. So it just means you took time to get trained in a certain area. That's what it means.
It means you perfected your craft. So since you mentioned
Right.
worship, we're gonna start slowly pivoting now. So now
Right.
tell us, praise and worship, what does that mean to you? I mean, you've kind of embodied, you've basically became one of the voices for worship and praise. So tell us a little bit, what does that mean to you?
Well, when I think praise, I think adoration, giving thanks to God. When I think worship, I don't think it can be defined with just one definition. There's so many
Yeah.
definitions. When I think of worship, there it means to honor, to love, to obey. There's sacrifice, there's surrender, there's so many different. There's obedience, and there's so many different elements and aspects of worship. So worship is not a genre. It's not a slow tempo song. It's something that's lived out. It's daily living a life that's submitted and surrendered to God. It's declaring the value and the worthship of God. That's what worship
Mhm.
is. So it's multifaceted for me. And that's just my prayer, is that I would live out this life of worship, that I would live out the lyrics of the songs that I'm singing and encouraging people. But just live it out, live a life of worship. And I know that's like a cliche lifestyle of worship, but I mean, it's true. That's what we're called to do, is just to live this thing out, walk it out, so when people see
walk
us,
it out.
yeah, walk it out.
I'll wait you, walk it out. So would you also say part of worship is also waiting? Would you say that's part of worship as well?
I would say, I mean, there's an element of, while you're waiting, you are submitted to God, you're obeying, a part of, we don't have to wait. You have to choose to do that, and so I would say that's where that trust and obedience comes in. If we were to link worship with waiting, and I even said worship while you wait. I was like, what do you do in the waiting? You worship, you keep your heart and mind fixed toward the author and the finisher of your faith, and you seek God for his leadership, you seek God for his wisdom and his counsel in the waiting. And so, yeah, definitely worship is connected in the waiting.
And since you're talking about waiting, right? Since we are on the topic of waiting already, you had this amazing #1 Billboard charting single, Wait. So, and, just even talk a bit about that process. Like, how long was that song written, released, kind of made its way into #1 like that? To me, it seems like it all just happened so fast. It was just a few weeks. I'm like, oh, wait, it's #1. So kind of, how was all that for you? What's that experience like?
Listen, I've been singing Wait a long time. It's a song that I've had to live out. I wrote it many years ago with my dad. I actually recorded a studio version of it with him in Ohio many years ago. And on this live worship album, I said, I want to do a live version of Wait. I've been singing it for a long time. And as many years as I've been singing it, it just seems like throughout the years, that song has continued to minister to the hearts of people. I think it's a universal theme that people in all walks of life can relate to. They've either had to wait on something, they're waiting on something right now, or they will have to wait. And so I feel like it's just a theme that it ministers to the hearts of people. And so, but to answer your question, I've been singing that song a long time. And honestly, I was a little reluctant when we were trying to figure out the single. I let different people hear, I rely on wise counsel. And so I would let just professional producers, people in the industry, radio people, just let them hear the music. And they listened to the whole EP and they were like, Wait is your single? And I was like, wait, how long I've been singing this song? I'm tired of singing this song. But listen, sometimes you have to adhere to wise counsel. And so I was like, okay. And so Wait, I love the song. I just didn't know that it was just the timing is now for it. I've been singing it a while, but I feel like now God is exposing it on a greater level. So I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for the journey. I'm grateful for the journey now, but it's certainly something that I've had to live out.
Well, congratulations in a #1. I'm sure, everyone put the work into it. You strive to get that #1 single. And then when you're singing as #1 on the Billboard, that must have been a huge, feeling of accomplishment, just knowing everything that you went through, all the journeys and everything else that kind of led to this point. And it's an amazing single. I mean, I must say so myself. It's a great single. But as I kind of dove a bit deeper into it, I realized that something else also really special happened during that time, right? That we're the last #1 that was there being, Jokia with Yahweh. And then such a short period within that 3-week period, whereby your single kind of came in there as #1. So from one, female artist being #1 to the next, that time gap from everything that I'm looking at, it was about 16 years since something like that actually happened. So that in it of itself was just amazing. So again, timing is everything, but just to also kind of had that historic moment where it was 16 years since the last time that happened. I mean, that's amazing in it of itself as well too.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I didn't know that. So, wow. I'm glad you I had no idea, but no, I love Jokia. I love the song Yahweh. I love that song. So, yeah, I'm just grateful for what God is doing. But yeah, no, that's awesome. He's awesome.
And the song Wait, so that's off of your EP, the EP Every Nation. So just, the title itself, Every Nation. So how did you arrive at that title for the EP?
Yeah. So when I graduated from school, The emphasis was on worship and racial reconciliation. And so through that, a song actually, so I have a song on the EP called Every Nation. That was one of the first songs to come. And it's rooted in Revelation 7:9, which talks about what worship will look like in heaven. Every nation, tribe, and tongue declaring that salvation belongs to our God. And so just promoting, awareness and just unity as it relates to race. And so I know that's something else that I'm called into. And so I've had an opportunity to do workshops and that kind of thing. But yeah, but no, that's how the song came. And that night, we were very intentional. It was a live recording here in LA, and we were very intentional about bringing white, Latina, my Asian friends, just inviting them out and creating this space where every nation, tribe, and tongue would sing and worship God together. And so it was a fun night. I had a chance to do the live recording here and at Hope's house, and it was called Every Nation.
Nice. And that's a church where you worship at.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's so important for what you're doing, even in that side of things as well, right? Because given the culture that we're in, this, the climate, everything else that's happening amongst race, amongst all of that, that you've also taken on that, and you're, champion what you're doing with that too, with the EP, and just overall, what you've taken up, kudos to you with that too. So you're doing an amazing job on that front as well too. So.
Thank you. Well, keep me in your prayers. It's not easy. It's not an easy topic. Everybody doesn't want it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's part of it. It's like, when people are like, what are steps that you can take as far as diversity, as far as racial reconciliation? Healing is needed. This country was founded, on racism. So we have a great work to do. And so, but one of the first steps is you have to want it. A lot of people are just like, I'm good. So I get it. I respect it. But if you are trying to make those steps, you have to want it. So yeah, it's a hard work. It's not easy, but I definitely feel called to it. So God gives you grace for it,
Yeah, definitely. And love as well too, right? We just have to love, right? So, and even as part of love, right? You kind of have this other, amazing song that's talking about that, I'm in love. So that's such a fun song, Summer is Here is so upbeat. So, what was the inspiration behind that song?
Oh, it's just a love song to God. It was rooted, the great commandment says, love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind. And the second is like it, to love your neighbor as yourself, and so that really was the heart of that song. And I just wanted to do something that was fun, upbeat, and that was call and response at the end. We have this, with all of my heart, with all of my soul, with all of my mind, I love you, Lord. And it's a time where you can interact with the congregation. And so it's just a fun song to sing. I'm looking forward to singing that song a little bit more. So yeah.
I mean, if it seems like you already, those vocals are warmed up. If you want to sing something, by all means, just I don't like to put people on the pressure to sing, but you're already there. So
no, I was just giving you an example of the song. Just give you an example.
Okay, I'm just saying, feel free if you want to jump into it and do some singing as well.
That's hilarious. Well, the chorus goes, I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you, Jesus. Oh, I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you. I'm in love with you, Jesus.
Well, there you go, guys. There you go. And so effortless.
I love it. It's a fun song to sing.
It is. So listen, I know what I want to be mindful of your time, but kind of coming down to the end of it here before we wrap, you have this 30-city tour that you're doing, Urban Inspirational Tour, with 4-time Grammy Award winner, Mr. Talkbox. So tell us, how exciting is that after being on lockdown, being in the pandemic for such a long time, not being able to get out there? How excited are you about getting back out there this summer?
Yeah, I think we're tired of being in the house. And so I feel like everybody's kicking and screaming, trying to get outside, so I'm looking forward to the tour. I'm looking forward to live events. The goal and heart of the tour is just to meet, connect with different radio stations, throughout the country, those people who have been supporting our music, and also scheduling events and churches and conferences around that. So I'm looking forward to just getting out there and meeting people and just, just being and community. If I have not valued anything anything more, I value people and just community,
Yes.
you know, because we've been so isolated. So I feel like it's just time. It's time to get out. It's time to get out and just worship with one another and just meet new people. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
And where can people look at the schedule so they can know if you're going to be coming through their city?
It hasn't posted yet. It hasn't posted
Okay.
yet, but hopefully, like within the next week or so, it'll definitely post. So yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, if you happen to come through New York, you know, wherever that event might be, I'll be in the crowd cheering it on. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
So the EP, Every Nation, the chart-topping single that's available digitally everywhere. Where can people find you? Where they can keep on taps as far as what's going on with you coming up this summer?
Yeah. Nia Allen Music across all platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. My website, Nia Allen Music. We have merch there. We have I'll have my tour schedule there. So yes, I would love to stay connected with you all. Feel free to follow me at Nia Allen Music.
Nia Allen Music. Guys, stream the singles, stream the EP, check out I'm in Love with You. That's an amazing song. Wait, let's keep it trending. Let's keep it going. Nia, I appreciate you coming on, speaking with us again. I'm Sherwin with Gospel Music Buzz, and thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.